Carruthers.
I'm William Leggetter.
And today is, there was a time, Will, in our podcast where we were in the first half of the series. This is the most ham-fisted.
What are you trying to say? And we're now in our second half of our Sondheim 20.
Yes, but it's 21 because I miscounted. And I was trying to do it Pacific Overtures style. I was trying to do, there was a time.
Should we do it as a haiku? Let's try to do it as a haiku.
Okay.
Oh.
Carruthers. Well, that's 4 syllables.
Carruthers.
A podcast. A Sondheim podcast filled with episodes and banter. No. A Sondheim podcast
hosted by Thomas and Will.
Thomas and Will. A Sondheim podcast hosted by Thomas and Will reaches its middle point now. A Sondheim podcast hosted by Thomas and Will reaches its middle point. There we go. Are you a haiku fan, Will? I remember as a kid finding out things.
Yeah, there's a great there's a series on Prime with James May, our man in Japan, and he goes around. I love sort of ancient Japan, or what Asian is it? It's 1800s.
I didn't hear you right, and I thought you said Asian Japan, as if there is a Western Japan.
Yes, Japan on Thames.
Japan.
I'd hate them to be confused.
Yes.
No,
Japan on Birkenhead.
There is a Newcastle in Stoke.
Yeah, there's a Manchester in America. Let's not do this tangent. Lots of places have different names.
It sounds like oh, it's very good. Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Could that have been
Manchester? Deleted song from The King and I.
The King and I, yeah. We were watching before the Oscars. We were watching best, who won what throughout the years, and somebody said, "Oh, The King and I, that's so problematic." And I said, "No, it's just the casting." And then suddenly, moment after moment, flitted through my mind of the problematic things in the actual text. It's not just Yul Brynner.
A puzzlement. There are things I am not sure of how they are.
What is your favourite Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, and what is your favourite Rodgers and Hammerstein film?
Oh, I think they're both the same. I think it has to be The Sound of Music. Carousel is up there.
Carousel, I think, is my favourite musical, but Sound of Music is my favourite film.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite films of all time. I think it's one of the greatest films of all time.
It's it is very, very good. I rewatched Sound of Music just before, past 2 years. I was like, well, this is absolutely excellent and is nowhere near as boring or as long as I thought it was going to be, apart from the 15-minute that gets
so Ray fa fa. And now let's cut to the bridge. So children.
Ray fa fa, which is how I pronounce Ray Fiennes. Terrible. Pacific Overtures. Will, you knew absolutely nothing. we watched for this. We listened. This is going to be an all-encompassing episode about Pacific Overtures. This is music and lyrics by Stephen Sondheim. This is a book by John Weidman, who majored in East Asian history, with additional material by Hugh Wheeler. We're going to talk about that in a moment. It's this story. It's vignettes. Well, let's get this here. Set in 19th century Japan, it tells the story of the country's westernization starting in 1853, when American ships forcibly opened it to the rest of the world. The story is told from the point of view of the Japanese and focuses in particular on the lives of two friends who were caught in the change. I somewhat disagree, because we watched the original production. We watched the 1982 filmed, obviously we watched that one. And we also listened to the two albums.
Yes.
I think over time it's become about the two friends thing, because that, for me, in the original production, I've got a quote from Weidman talking about, I think it was the 1984 rewrite he did, and he trimmed out a lot of the history stuff and to make more of a focus for these two friends. And I think that's a clear, good change, because I think in the original production, the two friends sort of thing sort of creeps up on you, and it's like, are we supposed to? Is this the main plot?
They're a good vehicle through the story.
Yes.
And it does work in that sort of, it's that classic sort of age-old story of two close friends take different paths and end up as enemies.
It's the blood brothers of East Asian of Kabuki theatre. That's a huge thing. Kabuki theatre. Harold Prince wanted to bring. Yeah. You got very excited then.
Sorry. Let's do this now. I love Kabuki theatre.
You love Kabuki theatre?
Yeah.
Where the hell has this gone?
Ever since we did a term on, or a half term on World Theatre in GCC Drama in Year 9. Just before, because obviously we got, let's get through World Theatre before we can get to farce or comedy, and we did a different type of comedy every week. It's great. But yeah, and we did Kabuki, and it was very, very good. And and we had to devise pieces or sort of make a modernized Kabuki. It was very, very fun learning about it. And
what was your modernized Kabuki, Will, about?
It was about. Right.
Can you not say it? Will it cancel you?
Let me.
We can say that it was GCSE. It was you were a very
GCSE
young
drama, and it was a kid being bullied at school.
Oh, through Kabuki theatre.
But James Melling.
James Melling.
I believe this is James Melling's first shout out.
This is we can't go on a James Melling tangent, but there are so many.
Very quickly, he was in my form, as were a lot of my friendship group. To this day, and so we always made a group in drama, and I was a narrator. I was the narrator.
You were a reciter.
Yes. So I sat there on a cushion, and told the story about this guy that got bullied, and eventually, but it was quite a powerful story because he eventually learned to stand up for himself.
Oh, very touching.
However, we lulled the audience into a false sense of security, because then all of a sudden the bully goes, "Oh mate, I'm gonna get top chav out," and James comes storming in. And on a random, just improvised outburst, pushes I forgot who it was, whoever it was, down, stands on the top of it, goes, "Oh, what? I'm gonna teabag you, mate." And I'm like, the narrator, I'm having to go along with it, like, but it was not green tea.
It was chrysanthemum tea.
Oh.
That is an incredible anecdote, Will. Wow. In an improvised moment, he forced somebody down and said, "I'm going to teabag you, mate." The great bully, Top Chav. Wow, I think that was a very good use of Kabuki theatre. I had no idea that you were going to come out with the opinion. I had no idea that you were going to so adamantly love Kabuki theatre. Have you seen any other Kabuki theatre piece as well?
No, I've never been to see Kabuki.
No. So yeah, this Harold Prince was like, yeah, let's bring Kabuki to the modern world. Basically the general premise, where have I got it here? I've got it here. Conceived as a Japanese playwright's version of an American musical about American influences on Japan. Pacific Overtures opens in July 1853. Where's the Sondheim quote? I've got the Sondheim quote here, talking about how they conceived of the piece, because it is this whole concept that it's a Japanese playwright who has written about it. Sondheim, what we actually did was create a mythical Japanese playwright in our heads who has come to New York, seen a couple of Broadway shows, then goes home and writes a musical about Commodore Perry's visit to Japan. It's the premise that helped to give us the tone and style of the show. Do you think that that tone and style comes through, Will?
I do, actually.
I think specifically with the presentation of people who aren't Japanese, the foreigners, in this case, especially obviously Please Hello, these outrageous caricatures.
I love it. I think it's very clever, the sort of the inverted sort of retelling, but it's sort of an Eastern telling of a Westernized. It's very cool. And I also was familiar with the story, with the true event that it was based on.
Oh, what are you? Was this a part of your study as well? Because I knew none of this history, so I sort of had to do a little bit of googling after. Wait, was that true? Was this true? And a lot of it is, because as I've just said, John Weidman majored in East Asian history, so I think the history of it was very, very important to him. There was this focus, and obviously that gives us a song called Like Someone in a Tree, but there was a focus of let's not fictionalize, let's not create. And obviously that gives us the ingenious concept of Someone in a Tree, but we'll get there later. Tell me about this history.
Well, as you know, I'm a big history nut. I loved it. Like in another world, I would be studying ancient history or just nothing 1940s onwards. Just not interesting. It's not history, is it? But I the only job in that would be presenting Civilizations on BBC 4.
Yeah, I've seen they let Tony Robinson touch the paper. They let him touch the paper. No, that's not protocol. Oh yes, the protocol.
Best part of that scene is when they bleep out country.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Dr. Hilary Mantel, Couchman, someone who likes to be sat on during. That's my name. Right. Yes.
Great stuff.
Absolute, excellent. It's another word for fellatio. Okay then. That was this time with Alan Partridge. But Craig Zidane, who wrote the book Sondheim and Co., which does a history of all the shows up until Into the Woods, was clearly very proud of the name of his chapter, East Side Story. He must have been very proud of it. The title of the work is drawn directly from a text in the letter of Admiral Perry, addressed to the Emperor, and the letter is dated July 1853. I'm going to read you this letter now, Will. Many of the large ships of war destined to visit Japan have not yet arrived in these seas, though they are hourly expected, and the undersigned, as an evidence of his friendly intentions, has brought but 4 of the smaller ones, designing, should it become necessary, to return to Edo in the ensuing spring with a much larger force. But it is expected that the government of your Imperial Majesty will render such return unnecessary by acceding at once to the very reasonable and pacific overtures contained in the President's letter, and which will further be explained by the undersigned on the first fitting occasion. Just a great title, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure they read that letter and thought, I know, let's name this Ships of War. The Rum-pum-pum. Did you recognize any of the songs, Will? Or is this a huge blind spot for you?
Let's blow it early. There is a recognizable element of one of the songs, which
did you notice this as well?
I laughed out loud. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah. What are we talking about? Are we?
Oh, you're talking about
I'm on about the nod to Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yes.
Not to be confused with Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Very different people. Gilbert O'Sullivan is one of the greatest lyricists.
Off to see him in a couple of months.
Are you? Again?
I didn't go to see him last time. I was watching the Hunger Games instead.
Ah, yes. Like 2 frozen peas. Gilbert O'Sullivan is one of our greatest lyricists. And Gilbert, double WS Gilbert is fine.
You're a bad dog, baby.
Claire, the moment I met you, I swear.
It's matrimony.
Yeah, I love Gilbert O'Sullivan. But anyway, that's another matter. Alone again, naturally.
Oh, he's great. He's great.
But yes, we will get to Please Hello later. Because Sondheim's not an actual big fan of Gilbert as a lyricist. He finds him quite annoying and quite verbose and annoying. So he's mimicking a style that he's not actually a huge fan of. And he finds quite
mistake.
yeah, in many ways. Let's keep talking about the show as in broad strokes. This is Prince. It was Harold Prince, yeah. This is Prince. Diddle-diddle-diddle-diddle. I was influenced by Stephen Sondheim's Pacific Overtures when I was writing Kiss. What's your favourite Prince song, Will? Quick tangent.
Kiss.
Good song. But only the Tom Jones version.
Yeah. I think I better sing right now. In Gulliver's Travels. It's great.
Wow, Gulliver's Travels. Oh my God. What? I think, it's Veep. The TV series Veep, which is the American version of Think of It. And I actually prefer Veep to Think of It, but that's another matter.
Was an answer to the Inside Number 9 crossword?
Ooh, Vice President.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a presidential episode.
Yeah, well, I'll quickly. We've not got time for this, but I'm very excited.
No, Will, we're not doing. Will, we're not. No, we are not doing. Will, we are not doing this. Will, this comes out after all 6 episodes have aired, and hopefully after we've released our Inside Number 9 Series 7 bonus episode. Will's very proud he did a cryptic crossword.
I did.
Harold Prince. It was. I didn't even say the Veep joke, and he's like, "You Lilliputian fuck." It was born out of a real play that John Weidman wrote me. I like how he names plays without like plays. He calls them real plays. That John, even though he's exclusively worked in musicals, not exclusively, but anyway, and he was like, it'll make a wonderful musical, but I don't think this play has a future. So Prince describes how. So then basically they took it. It was like John Weidman wasn't convinced, and he was like, "We're a bit far along, aren't we? To change it all into a musical." And then he said, "I want to show it to Steve," and then John Weidman was in. John Weidman will work again with Sondheim for Assassins.
John and his crazy hair,
wacky hair, very 70s. I love the 70s. Anyway, Prince describes the show. Describes in the show, and basically it's big issues on its original run. It was like about how it was all these people and these huge sets, and to do that is totally indulgent and entirely appropriate. You can't do it today in the theatre, but we did it, and in 6 months it lost its audience and all its capital, and I couldn't have cared less. Nor could the authors. We'd have loved it to be a huge success, but we made history, and it's talked about all the time. So this is another case, a bit like the London production of Company, where it's like it made no money, but they were very proud of it, and who wouldn't be? It is a huge achievement. Sondheim studied Japanese music for months, to get the right pentatonic scale, because it's a very different pentatonic scale. And then I think, there are conversations around cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation. This is a piece that is staged very often direct in the Japanese original. Sorry, not in the original, obviously, but in Japanese. This is a production often directed by Japanese people. It always has an all-Asian cast. That's untrue. There was a London revival which had black people in it and a couple of white people. I never found an interview where they described why, but who knows? But that was there. But for the lyrics, he said, I tried to keep the lyrics haiku-like, and I tried to avoid all words with Latin roots. So it's made up largely of these simple sentences. Gone are the days of, Dickens too frantic, the verbose, these huge, sprawling intelligentsia lyrics. And here it is lyrics repeatedly based on simple sentences. I have a bowler hat. I was younger then. The repetition of these simple fragmented sentences. Getting an all-Asian cast was a difficult thing in the early 70s. At a time that they had 6 people at one time, where usually 600.
The first
what? All-Asian cast?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it was a big success, and I think. And I don't want to say this to give them props for doing what should have always been done, but Miss Saigon is 10 years later, and that has Jonathan Pryce in Yellowface on Broadway. So I don't think it really can be underestimated to what extent it's admirable. And I know that this is all like, yay, the white guys actually cast Asian people, but I do think it was a very specific choice made in 1976 that wasn't made 10 years later and hasn't been made so many times before and unfortunately after, that it's not even a conversation we have to have here. And that's where the cultural appropriation versus the cultural appreciation. There's a big difference between Sondheim studying for months the pentatonic scales, the nature of Japanese music, and bringing that, and obviously the whole arc of the show is that over the course of it, the music gets more Western and more Westernized, and obviously that's the whole show. But anyway, yeah. So basically, usually they'd have like 600 people auditioning, and they had about 6, and they had to go to LA to cast as well, and they had to go to New York. They were casting on 2 coasts. Prince's assistant casting director, Annette Myers, said, "We were so desperate for casting that whenever we saw somebody who looked Asian on the subway or on the street or at the supermarket, anywhere, we wanted to go over to them and say, 'Can you act?'" So it got to that point. Yeah. And then Prince just talks about how it was a very, very different, this Kabuki theatre bled into everything. He said there were odd things, like you'd go backstage a half hour prior to performance to give notes to the cast, very standard procedure. But it was too late because they needed the half hour to meditate. It really was a very, very, all I keep thinking is Julie Walters in Mamma Mia going, it's very Greek. And all I keep thinking whenever I say very Kabuki, but of course you are our Kabuki, expert. This is it. So the original Broadway production was staged in 1976. With men playing the women's parts and set changes made in full view, and the audience, it opened to mixed reviews and closed after 6 months, and it didn't win any of its Tony Awards. That's untrue. It won set design because it was the chorus line year. So chorus line won everything. Are you a chorus line fan, Will?
Have a good set.
No, it didn't win set. That's the point. That's what I just said.
Yeah. Yeah. I like a few songs. What's the song? Gonorrhea. I've got gonorrhea.
That's Bohemian Rhapsody. Very good. Thank you. I like chorus line.
I think if we were in a chorus line, our only chance of being in it would be to be
Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
Antonio Banderas. Antonio, that was his previous project before Spanish, putting company in the Spanish, was chorus line.
Was it?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now take it again. We're going to do the combination in front of the mirror. Yeah, no. Have you seen the film? No. The film's not great. Michael Douglas is good. The film's not good. No. It has this weird synthesized, pulsating drum beat version of all the songs. It sounds horrible. This is interesting. Lots of people think that a lot of the bad reviews were based off this Sunday Times article that Sondheim was in a week earlier, where basically the article made him out to be this arrogant badmouther this arrogant guy bad-mouthing the Broadway community. This is Sondheim. It was written by the theatre critic of the Sunday Express in London. I think he was angry because I was not enthusiastic about certain shows as he was. So I think he decided to make me pay for it. For example, he opened the piece by saying that I had a Japanese servant, which is not true. What the hell is this interview? I couldn't even find it. So lots of people think that a couple of the bad reviews were like, again, rooting against these people. Like you can't keep having hit after hit. This isn't how it works. I'm amazed that Merrily We Roll Along was the bomb that bombed them.
Really?
I am, because like Merrily We Roll Along has, I mean, that original production had many issues, but surely this is such a huge show with no commercial viability, really. Surely this would have been the one, but then obviously we get Sweeney next. And then it is Merrily that bombs them. Let's talk about Hugh Wheeler. So Hugh Wheeler will write Sweeney Todd with Sondheim next. He was brought in. Here are three, very much like someone in a tree. I'm going to give you three. So it's credited as additional material by Hugh Wheeler. Here are the three opinions. John Weidman. When I finished the first draft, I was sort of stuck. Hal said I would like to show the script to Hugh Wheeler to see if he could help. And I said that was fine. It was. I think for both of us, it was a slightly uncomfortable, forcible relationship, but we both made the best of it. Prince. You stuck that in my head now. I need to say Hal Prince every time. Yes, a lot of the scenes got rewritten. We asked Hugh to come in and help. He did, but John was primarily the author, and he was terrific. Most assuredly, John wrote that show. Wheeler. I was brought in because it really needed somebody to write it. I mean, it was more like a treaty than a dramatic thing. After I came in, the whole second act was just thrown out and a new one was put in. Sondheim, the man we trust. Sondheim basically said, I haven't got the exact Sondheim quote because it was so long, but Sondheim basically said that Hugh Wheeler went and wrote an entirely different draft. And he said that it was like word for word, the exact opposite. He didn't take anything. And it was completely unusable. And so they went back to John Weidman's book and Hugh Wheeler did patch ups on John Weidman's script. To me, that sounds right. I mean, I know we love Sondheim and we pray and we kiss his feet and all that sort of thing. But that to me sounds the closest approximation. Let's talk about the actual show. Will, what did you think of Pacific Overtures?
I really enjoyed it.
So did I. Well, no, that's not true. I enjoyed the songs a lot.
Yes.
I think overall, because we're watching the 1982, which has been rewritten a fair bit and cut down to such an extent, we'll talk about it later, but I do think this feels like I think it's more interesting to talk about than it is actually to watch. I think it's an achievement more than an enjoyable show with a lot of enjoyable songs in it. I don't know. How do you feel? You enjoyed it just through and through?
Yeah, it was a fun bit of theatre for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's it. Yeah. What was a shine before we get into the nitty gritty of it? What were the shining? What am I even saying? The Shining. What was The Shining? That's the one with the hotel, isn't it?
I'm just gonna let that sit for a bit.
What were your shining positives in broad strokes?
I really like the sets.
The set's incredible, yes. But also the set is something that has been stripped away more and more as the years have gone by in multiple productions. Again, I think it's that thing of this will be thank God it was filmed, because there will never be a production of this scale of this piece again. I mean, how many fucking women come on for next at the end that have not been in any of it? Yeah. They've just got 10 women waiting backstage and then they come on. Tokyo has finally got nice air, or whatever she says. next. Like they just bring on 10 modernly dressed women. I mean, at least I hope they just come in their modern dress and they can come and sing that song and then leave. I hope they didn't have to wait for 2.5 hours. Let's get into it. I've ranked the songs. I've started ranking the songs now. So I've ranked all 10. We open with my favorite song in the entire show, The Advantages of Floating in the Middle of the Sea.
Yes.
That is my favorite song in the show. I think it's the best. I think it's an incredible opening. Perfectly brings you into the world. It's the one I've been humming along the most. Did you think that it had the exact same pulsating rhythm as Once Upon a Time?
Yeah. I've written Into the Woods many times. Yeah. It's also my favorite song in the show.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, very good. That's easy then. So this is Mako as the reciter, the very much acclaimed performer. What a wonderful voice he has. I mean, obviously, the 2005 production has BD Wong, and BD Wong's excellent, and he's more of a performer. But Mako, this just like incredible voice, which isn't what was I going to say? It's just like gold. It's just so evocative and powerful, and it's perfect for what this reciter character should be. It's one hell of an opening for me. It's an incredible opening, an incredible closing, and then the peaks and troughs. There's peaks and troughs. The incredibly well staged by Prince. The screens coming on, and more people behind the screens, and the building of the ensemble. And as you did so famously, just Mako just sat there on his pillow, just absolutely dead still. And the first, I don't know if it was intentional, the image I could think of was he is Japan. The whole world is moving around him. He is Japan, at that time Nippon. He is just sat there. The whole world is moving around them. They are isolated. And it perfectly brings us into the world of the isolation that Japan was in 1853. There are no outsiders. And then the Americans were like, nah. Again, a fascinating piece of history. What were your favorite elements of this opening number one?
I tell you what, in traditional Kabuki style, I liked a lot of the sort of the way that the people use their bodies to create almost sit on each other, but not body as prop in such, but it was very fluent. The entire thing sort of evolved. It was very, very nice.
Very Kabuki. It was originally a song called We Float, and Sondheim describes it as less Western in feeling. I think the biggest regret they all have around this was not leaning more into the Kabuki. And Sondheim specifically with the music is like, I should have lent more into the Kabuki and then had it become more Western. That should have been what we did. I can sort of see that maybe, but also this is such an incredible opening. I wouldn't want him to touch it, but he disagrees. He thinks We Float was better. But anyway, the dropping of the curtains is exactly what Prince is going to do in Sweeney Todd next in his production of the constant dropping of the curtains, which again, very fortunately was filmed. We're back into an era now of productions being filmed. But why wasn't this always a thing? Just film it privately and release it after. I completely agree with not really. I mean, Hamilton is obviously still on everywhere. Is Hamilton still on Broadway? It's got to be.
It's definitely West End.
No, I know, but yeah. It's definitely still on.
It will be.
It's a cash cow.
When do you think it'll stop?
Whenever my prayers are heard. Hamilton Broadway. Let's have a look at a Hamilton Broadway ticket, Will.
Booked. Oh, I'm gonna. Can I have a guess? I'm gonna say $150.
Let's have a look. Hamilton tickets. You pick a date.
I'm going to say the 28th of October.
Okay. Tickets aren't on sale. Oh no. What is this tangent? What are we doing? The 28th. Here we go. The 28th of October. Okay. Oh, no. They are genuinely only available until October the 23rd. The 28th of November, the 28th of September. Do you remember? View tickets. Tickets for Hamilton are in demand. 369 people are other looking. Okay, that's loading.
Wow.
That's just taking its time to load. I know what Hamilton is. View. Oh, okay. So that's loading. Back to. Have you seen Hamilton, Will?
No, I won't either.
Yeah,
I've seen the recording version.
Yeah,
on Disney Plus.
It was all right. I know that's an insane thing to say, but it was all right. Next up, we have the Shogun being appointed the prefect of police. They will come, this leads into another song. I think it might be in my top 5. There is no other way. It is
Really?
number 5. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. It is a somewhat throwaway song, I guess.
I didn't like it
at all.
No, it's not made the top 5.
I thought it was so. I can lose it. Don't worry. But like I thought it was.
I thought it was amazing. I can lose it.
Let's not forget, Rosa's Turn isn't on my list. Yeah, let's do it number 1. I thought it was this beautiful medley, this melody. I thought it was stunning. I have to say, yeah, I've noticed this very quickly. Is that it's very hard for me to talk about music because I know nothing.
I know nothing.
I know nothing. What's that from?
Fawlty Towers.
Oh, Fawlty Towers. Singing, and then it very Kabuki. They're singing for them instead of the wife and the
Trumpism. It's
very Kabuki. I loved Pacific Overtures. Great. Hal Prince. Great directing. What they don't tell you about Hal Prince is that it's really great. Kabuki style. I love Kabuki. I have been to Kabuki in Japan. He thinks Kabuki's a place. He just lies. And he's just like, I've been to Kabuki. I have been to the Kabuki theater in Japan. He just has no idea what he's talking about. 4 Black Dragons. The Fisherman, the Thief, the Reciter, and the Townspeople. Is this the best closing line he's ever written?
Can you say the closing line for me, please?
I thought it was the end of the world, and it was. Sondheim commented, I am very fond of that last line. That's the only thing he commented in his lyric book. I think maybe that's big, but it's just this phenomenal dirge-like song.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, Black Dragons. Oh, that made your top 5?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I like it. Where did I put it?
Because you rank them all, don't you?
I didn't rank it. What am I doing? I'm gonna put it at number 6. Phenomenal song. Very dirge-like. Talk about it then if you liked it so much. That sounded very angry.
Talk about it. No, I thought it was very good. It was, it's a very
ominous.
Very, very deep, very, very nice. Just representing the boats that are coming in.
Volcanoes. Everybody sees different things. Oh my god. Oh, pardon me. No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a tremendous amount. I find this very funny. So in all the writing, Sondheim talks about how less is more, and how he thinks one of the failures of this original production was that less is more. Prince very, very much disagrees, but that's another matter. Have I gotten rid of the? I'll talk about that later. But yeah, Prince very much disagrees. But I just found it very funny, the idea of less is more, and then this huge ship coming on. And I was like, oh, maybe that's what he's talking about. I mean, obviously, it's incredible. But I can you even imagine a play with this budget now? What are the biggest shows on Broadway right now? Hamilton, Dear Evan Hansen, Hadestown.
Hadestown's not big, is it?
No, it's not big. I saw it at the Olivier. It's tremendous.
I adore Hadestown.
Okay.
Do you not?
I thought it was fine. I thought every song sounded quite similar. And very, yeah, what is this story? I know that it is.
It's all Greek to me.
I know that's an insane thing to say, but like, because it's an age-old myth.
The biggest, like, production-wise, like, most expensive was Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Have you seen? I mean, I'm just stealing podcasts.
Patrick Page in his Green Goblin.
If you're looking for a man,
I was hoping he'd show up in the multiverse.
That would have been great. Oh,
all different versions of the Goblet.
They're coming through, and I can't stop them. This portal was extremely easy to break into. If you're looking for a man.
Oh, it's great. And obviously, they were both in Hadestown.
Yes, they were. Yeah. I'm going to. Oh wait. Oh, Will, it's loaded from £129. That is the cheapest ticket. What's that song called? A Freak Like Me Needs Company. Freak Like Me. I want to read you the middle lyric. No, not the Sugar Babes. Freak Like Me, Spider-Man. If you're looking for a night in the town, you just found me. I'm a $65 million circus tragedy. I'm not rolling, baby, rolling in the green, but I'm unique, a freak.
Oh, it's great.
I'm the new Coney Island, and all the rides are open and free. All the weirdos in the world are here right now in New York City. I got a crew of party animal mutants by my side. Demon hairdo evil dressers who just don't be denied. The crossroads of the roads just need a little tweak from a freak. I said goodbye to my straight life because I love a freak. Peacock's posers show no pity. Will, you do know who wrote the score for Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark, don't you?
The score, I don't know.
Bono and the Edge. Did you not know this?
No.
Yeah, there you go. Everybody listen to Podcast The Ride. They have an incredible episode just about the David Letterman performance. This guy likes animals a bit too much. Let's talk about Chrysanthemum Tea. I'm guessing this is your second favorite song.
My third favorite.
I have this. I have this at 4. This isn't the ultimate earworm. Oh my god! I listened to it in the morning, and then I went out. I went out for a whole day with my girlfriend, and literally, you know when you have a song stuck in your head, and it's like just those random silent moments, and you go, "Have some tea, my lord, some chrysanthemum tea," and then every one of those moments was filled with that. Sondheim describes it as a Jewish mother song, just like a doting woman. So I love that he's slowly being poisoned. What an ingenious little thing. Because when did you realize that he was being poisoned? I don't think I realized it until the actual literal.
Yeah. On the original broadcast recording on Spotify, it's like, what she says at the end, it's like, oh, did you like that? And all he goes is, oh.
Yeah, it's like, like what? Yeah, whereas obviously, yeah, there's no way of knowing if you listen to the original Broadway recording. And it's one of those weird things, like my mum talks about how her introduction to Phantom was they bought the vinyl and they sat on the floor with the big pull-out libretto and they read it. And that I like that, all that has is like the Phantom puts a noose around Raoul's neck. It just, these little tiny things. And it's that thing of, how the hell do you know what's happening? I remember listening to the Follies soundtrack before knowing the actual plot and going, what the hell are all these? Like, I had no idea what Loveland was, and then Loveland happens, and you go, what the hell? Yeah, I think it's delightful. So this was completely rewritten, I think, like 2 weeks before. A whole new version, yeah. So Alan Ing, who performed it in the original Broadway and in the 2005, actually, as the Shogun's mother, he needed cue cards for the first couple of weeks because there was just so much. Sondheim said the original version contained no conspiracy and no murder, nor did the history, this being the most extreme liberty we took with the actuality of events. So this is the biggest edition. Just a delightful little. There's a Sondheim comedy album called Comedy Tonight, which is a compilation of the comedy songs, and this is on there. Now it is quite darkly funny, but would you say that this is like an outrageously funny song, Will?
I can see why it's on there.
I want you to guess now what songs are on here.
A Little Priest.
This is, yes, A Little Priest. Yeah, this is from 2002. A Little Priest. There's another Sweeney.
God, That's Good.
No, Worst Pies in London.
Oh, of course it is.
It opens with Comedy Tonight. Then there are 2 songs from Company.
Is Agony on there?
Yes, Agony Reprise.
Ah.
You got to get a gimmick. Can That Boy Foxtrot? It's hard up here from Sonny the Boat with George. You Must Meet My Wife. Chrysanthemum Tea. The Follies one they have is The Story of Lucy and
my
Jess.
mind.
Yeah. No, but the joke. Wait, you know what I find funny is that on this album they have Agony and Agony Reprise. They have The Story of Lucy and Jessie. Not a funny song, really. Like an enjoyable song. Yeah, it's great. But this is Comedy Tonight, Sondheim's funniest songs. And then Getting Married Today and The Little Things You Do Together. I think it's a good choice to have on there, this darkly funny song. I enjoy it a lot. Yeah, it's dark. It's so dark and delightful. Then we have Poems, which is the first. This is another problem with the show being posited as this 2 friends show. This Poems song comes like 50 minutes in, and we're like, these are the people that we're going to stay with. Is it a love song to each other?
No.
Were you getting some homoerotic undertones?
There was a lot of swaying.
There was a lot of swaying. You know what I liked? It feels like a precursor to Pretty Women. Like it feels like a precursor to Pretty Women to me, like the descriptions and all that sort of thing. It just feels like Pretty Women. I don't know how to describe. This is the problem. I don't have any musical knowledge. You know what? Can't wait to rip into. On the 1982 recording with George Hearn and the Judge Turpin, who just cannot keep the beat at all. He's like, whoa! Anyway. What was I going to say? That was it. Poems I could lose. Poems is my number 11.
Yeah.
Oh, Chrysanthemum Tea is at 4 for me.
3 for me.
Oh, did you rank your top? Did you do a top 4 or top 5?
5.
5.
Hello, little girl. That's funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Actually, no.
It's a pedophile song.
It's no. Edit that one out.
No, that's staying in. Oh, that's staying in. It's hilarious. Where'd you get your kicks, Casualty? Welcome. Speaking of songs that are supposed to be funny, but Sondheim doesn't think it is. Welcome to Kanagawa. So this is the geisha song. This is the sex worker song. I enjoy it from the start, really. I own a small commercial venture with a modest clientele in Kanagawa. And like he enjoys the haikus, but it just could have been so much funnier. And Sondheim desperately agrees. Yeah. So that for me. What did you think of this?
Yeah. Again, it was fun. But
could have been so much funnier. Like the lyrics, in the collected lyrics, he literally goes, "I'm open to suggestions. I've rewritten it every revival, and it's just never funny."
He could have been like played on the "I'm having to write in haiku," or restricts himself for the entire song, and get to a point when, and then I've got to, and he keeps having to re-sing the same line until it fits the haiku, and then he carries on. I think that would be a good gag.
Why don't you do that? Why don't you do failed haiku song? Put that in.
There you go.
The original production obviously had the geishas with the fans, but the 2005 production, apparently they used ropes and were acting out the ropes as penises.
Were they?
In the 2005 production, yeah, apparently.
Oh.
Again, you can't really hear that on a cast recording. I trust the ancient haiku. Put that penis rope down. I find this very funny. They recorded the original Broadway cast recording. Sorry, the original Broadway cast of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with Uta Hagen and Arthur Hiller and Melinda Dillon and George Grizzard. And there's a bit obviously where he comes on with the fake gun with the umbrella, and there's nothing in the script. But for the album, they have Melinda Dillon as Honey go, he's got a gun. and then don't worry, it's an umbrella.
Oh no.
Which I find very funny. Screw you, baby. Which leads us into Someone in a Tree. And this is Sondheim, apparently, most of the times when he's asked, this is my favorite song that I've ever written. This is what he says all the time. What a shame there is no official account of what happened. Because basically it was a very boring meeting, and what is known is very dull and very sanitized. There is the interesting thing of the 3 samurais under the floors, ready in case of American treachery, but it's quite a nothing scene, but it's pivotal. So how do you talk about that? You don't want to fictionalize what happened inside. So it becomes this incredible crossing through time, an old man remembering himself as a young boy. I was younger then. I was good at climbing trees. Yeah, and he's peering in. And then we have the samurai underneath the floorboards, only hearing a little snippet. And it's this bit of, and then they talked a bit. And it's these little snippets that come together to create some sort of thing. And in the end, it doesn't matter. It's all about the little details. And these people who had no effect really on the meeting, but if they weren't there, who knows? It could have gone differently. Someone in a Tree is my third favorite, probably my second.
It's my second.
Yeah, I think it's my second too. And then I'm going to bump next to 3. But yeah, Someone in a Tree, absolutely beautiful. And of course, there is the whole documentary which I sent you of Sondheim just taking us through how he wrote Someone in a Tree. He adores it. It's very, very, very clear.
And John's next to him with his crazy hair.
John's next to him with his crazy hair. They have this incredible cut. But then we thought it'd be a song. And I guess Steve's the best person to tell you about that. And he gets up out of the chair because... so the way that Sondheim wanted it from Weidman was having him write a whole scene. And Sondheim's reading this scene out, and the amount of lines and stuff that was in that scene originally, and just music and set to music, I thought it was rather incredible, really, as a glimpse into Sondheim's working. Yeah. Sondheim, the main reason it appealed to Hal was because there was no other way. And he just said, let's have a number. And then there's that glorious performance around the piano with Mako and the rest of the original cast. And they're all in these wonderful 70s outfits. Why the hell is this not the end of Act 1?
Yes, because Act 2 has no songs in it.
This is the opening of Act 1. Sorry. This should be the end of Act 1, and then there's the lion dance, which is this traditional Kabuki dance, which then leads into a cakewalk, and it again shows the westernization. And it's this like Kabuki style outrageous makeup, but they're as Commander Perry, but they're in the classic Uncle Sam outfits. It's an incredible image, but I think it works better as an opening of Act 2, leading us straight into Please Hello. Let's talk about some of our favorite lyrics in our intermission now. Top 5 lyrics. I've got a couple here. It's a herb that's superb for disturbances at sea. Obviously, it's the fragment, not the day. It's the pebble, not the stream. It's the ripple, not the sea. Not the building, not the beam. Not the garden, but the stone. Only cups of tea. And then also, you pour the milk before the tea. The Dutch ambassador is no fool. I must remember that. Terrible advice. You pour the tea before the milk. But anyway, that's another. How do you make your tea, Will?
Oh, okay. If only when one has a teapot should you put milk before.
I have a teapot, and in the morning, I will make the whole thing. So I will have the milk in the pot. I make a pot of milked tea, and I have my sugar. The milk is in the pot.
Hair as yellow as come
on. What's your favorite thing that needs getting in there? That was a joke. The Pacific Overtures, yeah, they're my favorite lyrics. Any favorite lyrics, Will?
One thing that I remember from it is the blossom is on the mountain is on the blossom.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm struggling to understand,
but it'll stick with you, and you'll try to figure it out. That's the key. Again, it's the building. Let's talk about Please Hello. So yeah, the HMS Pinafore, the model of a modern Major General, and then there's a Russian clog dance, and there's all these, the French. Oh la la, Are you going to throw this in your top 5?
I am.
I thought you would. Yeah, I thought you would. We'll talk about it then. Talk about it. Talk about your joys of it.
It's very good. We'll obviously talk about Please Hello.
Oh, did I not say Please Hello?
Probably. No, it's yeah, I think a very enjoyable opening number, actually. And I think it is this one on the playlist.
Please Hello.
Because this is probably the funniest song in the show.
Oh no, it's not. Oh, sorry, no, it's not. It's not part of the. No, it's not part of the playlist. As in the Comedy Tonight thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's not part of that. Yeah, it's not part of that at all. What was I going to say?
I don't know.
I don't know, John. I don't know. I say Peter and Dudley and Peter. Yeah, Please Hello. I enjoy Please Hello. I don't know if I don't know if I want it on the playlist.
Okay.
It's very long.
All right, okay.
It's very long, and what's your favorite part of it?
The Modern Major
General. Yeah. What if we add Modern Major General into our Sondheim playlist instead?
That would be an insult to Stephen Sondheim.
It would. Then we have A Bowler Hat, which is apparently one of the best songs he's ever written, and is apparently one of, is the best song in the show.
Not made my top 5.
Yeah, I have it at 7. I mean, it was good, like the slow creeping westernization, and but again, this is another song with another 100 people issue, where it's not a whole song, it's chunk, 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 and when you're watching it, it's just so. There's no pace to it. That's the problem. I really do think this is a major issue as we've watched so many of these now. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. Any thoughts, Will, on the Bowler Hat?
Not really. They're just picking up items of clothing and naming them.
Obviously, it's the slow westernization. Pretty Lady. What a beautiful song against a horrific scene. If you listen to this song in isolation, you think, what a beautiful little song. And then you watch it and you go, fucking hell. Why are they creepy Cockneys?
Oh yeah, he's like, hello, pretty lady.
Pretty lady. Oh, da, da, da. There's a good medley. Raul Esparza does a medley of Pretty Lady and Pretty Women, which is enjoyable. And he opens it like he does any performance. Pretty lady at their windows, sipping coffee, dancing. And then by the end of it, he is singing more than anybody has ever sung in their life. Yeah. I love that the sailor getting killed was a blunt, stark murder. Also, this then leads into the next murder, the assassination attempt. Assassination fulfilled. And then again, where suddenly, oh yeah, it's about these two friends. I just don't think the two friends arc works at all in this production, I have to say. Tell me differently. I know you made the good point about the whole blood brothers of it all. Like, it's that classic age-old story. I just think it needs to be more focused and more clear.
They need to be in it more.
Yeah, there needs to be in it more. It needs to be more focused. They need to be in it from the beginning, not 40 minutes in.
Reading some poems.
Yeah, read some poems. But then it has one of the best endings to a show I've ever seen. I fucking love Next.
I very much enjoyed the because you sent me the ending, the Next from the 2005 one, and that the way they do Hiroshima, I think is very.
Well, yeah, we're going to be talking about that in a moment. But the I love the modernness is so very 70s now. The amount of women coming on just for nothing. Well, not for nothing, but like, how did this ever get funded? Like, it's like when we talked about Gypsy. Like, you have a whole children's cast you have a whole this huge expensive cast and all these settings. It just wouldn't get. I just don't think it would get made now. I can't remember when the last British revival of Pacific Overtures was. I think it was a 90s Donmar Warehouse production. I love the little silent disco moment. It's enjoyable, and it's just an incredible opening. And it's an incredible opening, and it's an incredible closing. And there are many songs in between that I enjoy a lot. Overall, I can't help but feel that yes, I found it a bit boring in the scenes and a bit overlong. I think, yeah, my enjoyment, I think, is purely the songs, I think, at this point. I don't know. How did you feel, Will, now that we're at sort of culminating thoughts on this original 1982 production?
Yeah, I think that the scenes are still necessary.
No, of course they're necessary.
They can be cut down.
And they were cut down, of course. And we haven't seen that version. And we've heard a bit. We haven't seen it. And so I don't wish to besmirch the possibility that there is a completely enjoyable. What am I even saying? That there is
you're on something today.
I know, a completely more enjoyable cut down version. We're going to talk about that in a moment. So let's talk about the 1984 off Broadway. Smaller theatre, better reviews. Not less commercially successful. Prince really didn't like it. He consciously didn't go see it. I was relatively pissed off when the off-Broadway productions were praised for its modesty. That's not kabuki. It's bold painting. It's not subtle theatre. A popular thing to say is that the original production was overproduced by me and Boris. That's not true.
What?
Yeah, that's Harold Prince's statement on that production. Sondheim liked it. Weidman liked it. And it was quite critically well received. Prince, just not a fan. Prince is this huge populous director. I can't think of many close quarters Prince productions. He is a man of big populace. I mean, we're going to watch Sweeney Todd next, which is just more is more.
Yeah. How
big can one production be?
That's great.
And it's phenomenal. And then we'll talk about John Doyle's production. Speaking of John Doyle, I know we're not there yet. So 2004 Broadway revival. So it was based on a critically praised Japanese language production by director Amon Miyamoto. Ben Brantley, reviewing for the New York Times, wrote, "Now, Mr. Miyamoto and Pacific Overtures have returned with an English-speaking, predominantly Asian American cast, which makes distracting super titles unnecessary. The show's sets, costumes, and governing concepts remain more or less the same. Yet, unlike the new National Theatre of Tokyo production, which was remarkable for its conviction and cohesiveness, this latest incarnation from the Roundabout Theatre Company has the bleary, disorientated quality of someone suffering from jet lag after a sleepless trans-Pacific flight. Something has definitely been lost in the retranslation. Of the cast, Brantley wrote, even as they sing sweetly and smile engagingly, they appear to be asking themselves, what am I doing here?
Oh, wow. That's not a good review.
That's not a good review at all. We saw some clips from this. We saw the next. Very militarian to begin with. Because I think there was doing a whole, again, originally Next, Weidman considered a longer epilogue, and they were going to do snippets of scenes, and they were going to do puppets, and they were going to do all of history, all of Japanese history. Whereas the song that they wrote ends up just skipping Hiroshima, ends up skipping the militarian takeover. Let's not, these are the guys this is the country that sided with the Nazis. And that's a huge bit of history to miss. And in this 2004 production, Next begins very militarian, which I think is a very specific choice. And then Hiroshima, which I think is a good choice to put in, but then they just fucking all roll around.
Oh, no. Them rolling around is awful.
Yeah. Weidman described it, little cutting here, little rewriting there, but nothing substantial. So I think, but then again, he's not talking there about the 1984 version. So even now, he's still freely adapting. The 2017 Classic Stage Company production, this was directed by our favorite John Doyle, The Minimalist, the company, and Todd. Doyle was the artistic director of the Classic Stage Company. Are you ready for this, Will?
Oh, yes.
Starring George Takei as the reciter. We love George Takei.
Yeah.
Featured a cast of only 10 people, 8 men and 2 women. And this also featured a revised book by John Weidman that had a running time of 90 minutes. No interval. And guess what they cut, Will?
What?
Chrysanthemum Tea.
Oh.
George Takei. He told us this is a play written by an American, music composed and the lyrics written by an American with a cast of Asian Americans, but we were all directed by a Scotsman from far off Inverness in the north coast of the Scotland. And yet we got this wonderful production, a melange of America plus Scottish vantage point telling the story of Japan. George Takei there. Wonderful, George Takei. That is it. Let's rank some songs. How many do you want to put in? 4 or 5? Well, let's see. So my ranking, my ranking, 11 Poems, 10 Welcome to Kanagawa, 9 Pretty Lady, 8 Please Hello, 7 A Bowler Hat, 6 Four Black Dragons, 5 There Is No Other Way. And then I don't know about you, this can be our 4 Chrysanthemum Tea, 3 Next, 2 Someone in a Tree, 1 Advantages of Living in the Middle of the Sea.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's just do that.
Are there any arguments you want to make?
No.
I think that's a good ranking. This all sounds like we want to get out of here, but we don't. It's just like, this is the ranking, undeniably for me. Have you got the ranking open, Will?
I have.
Okay, I'm gonna make them all 12.
Everything's coming
up roses and daffodils. Okay, so Chrysanthemum Tea. Is anything cracking the top 20 here? I don't think it is.
No.
So I think we're fine. Yeah, we're not in the top. We're not in top 20 territory. So cuts.
What does Someone Woke Up sound like?
That is Do I Hear a Waltz? That is Someone Woke Up Like a da 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 da. You need to start listening to the playlist more before you do these shows.
I do. I'm like, I don't know how to rank it because I don't know what this sounds like.
I think that is literally just a trilogy of Do I Hear a Waltz? Yep. I like I Remember. Let's have Chrysanthemum Tea at 41. Let's have Next. I like Next at 40. What about you?
That's fine.
because then I like all of these songs a lot.
Yeah.
This is the problem. I like all of these songs a lot. Okay. I think Someone in a Tree should be high but also we prefer Adventures of Living in the Sea.
I would even say that should we break up that Little Night Music bunch?
Okay.
I think 21 can be Adventures.
Okay.
And let's put the next one at just after You Must Meet My Eye, because I think it's better than Weekend in the Country. How does that sound to you?
That sounds fine for me. That works for me. And it breaks up that Little Night Music. I love them. It's both exactly the same amount of anal. Okay, let me
just a smidgen of anal.
Oh well, you dirty bastard. Make these yellow, and then I'll add them in. Okay, there we go. Any final thoughts, Will, on Pacific Overtures?
Listen to it, watch it. It is good.
It is good.
You won't feel like, because it's wonderful listening to discovering new music, new things. And I don't think you'll be disappointed after listening to this. You won't go, oh, wasted 2 hours there, didn't I?
I think the original Broadway album, again, these original Broadway albums, I don't know what it is. They just sound so much better. These Thomas C. Shepherd albums are incredible, all of them.
Oh, Thomas C.
Oh, Thomas C. Shepherd. This is a new thing we should do. What do you think his notes were when recording? Let's try it again, but this time Kabuki. What?
More
Kabuki, please. Hi, Mako. We're recording until 4 a.m. This is great. That's Pacific Overtures. So I know you were just talking about how great it is to discover new things, but next episodes, Will.
Yes.
It's time to meet Sweeney at long last.
That wasn't from Sweeney.
That literally is the opening organ.
Oh no. No, it's more like the arms for a miserable woman. There you go.
Oh, what a fucking my God.
And then yeah, the warning: if you are listening to Sweeney for the first time, don't have the Ballad of Sweeney Todd or the overture, this bit in particular, very loud, because there is the most deafening whistle.
Yeah, so no, it's and then you know what I don't like? Uneven like volumes. That's always annoyed me. Does that annoy you?
Yes, it really does. Really does.
Yeah, it annoys me too. Well, any final thoughts on we've done any final thoughts? That is that. It's time to meet Sweeney. Will, attend the tale of Sweeney Todd next week.
Oh, see you then, my friend. My friend. Oh, this is very good.
Da ba da ba da ba da ba 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 ba